Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Thanks for joining me. I wanted to do a quick review on Marriage Story because I finished that one today. I also just got out of the shower, so I'm gonna cover up. Um, yeah, let's get into Marriage Story. I'm gonna go ahead and say that this is definitely a movie that you need to watch alone. Don't watch it with your partner. Don't watch it with your mom. Um, or a date or anything. I think this is one of those Netflix and chill by yourself to watch. I don't have a lot of notes here at all because I was just engulfed in the story. Um, this one hit me in a weird way. One, because I now live in New York, and two, my parents went through a divorce when I was 8, in second grade, going into third. And three, because I didn't have a father who wanted to fight for his time with me as much as we saw in this one. So there were moments that I got pretty emotional over just because he was trying to be a part of that life that Henry and Nicole were creating in LA. Um, yeah, I think I just want to say the main trope in this one had to have been communication or lack thereof. Because, and I'm not married, nor have I ever been, so you don't really have to listen to my opinion. But I imagine that marriage is supposed to be built on like trust and communication. And I think Nicole really trusted that one day Charlie was going to make the California thing work. And there were different signs over the course of the year. She got pregnant a couple years into it. I mean, they were together for 10 years, married for 10 years, but the kid was 8. So, you know, over the years, there were just different things that she recognized um, that made her feel voiceless. He was supposed to like make this effort to come back to California, even for a summer. He was offered a residency for a year, turned it down because it wasn't a good fit. But he didn't turn down the 6 months in Copenhagen, which is across country. So that was a big thing for her. I think that maybe the wheels started turning then. Um, and what she admits a lot to Nora, her side of the story, when she's like, I just kind of moved into his apartment. It's not even, you know, I didn't even get to pick out the couch or something like that. And it's all his stuff. I don't even know what my taste is. I mean, she didn't even get the chance, I guess, or she didn't feel like she had the chance to nest when she got into this relationship and whatnot. And it's interesting how the perspectives of both of them have led to what is now a divorce, which clearly she was the party who was asking for the divorce. But in her mind, they had a deal, or he promised her, right? That was what she said. He promised her that they would one day get to California. Whereas in his mind, he thinks that they had made a deal that after she finished this TV show that she's working on in LA currently, they would go back to New York. And Nora, the lawyer, says, "When did you make this deal? Do you remember when the deal was made?" And he was like, "No, I can't remember when, but I know it was said." He And it was so frustrating for me that he thought that this could happen without lawyers, because it was clear in the separation mediate, like in just simply mediation, she wasn't able to like hold on to her voice still, her version of what happened and why she's divorcing him. Um, some people, when they go through that, they want they want it to be known why this happened. Um, and she really let her lawyer know that, and then her lawyer got pretty fucking lethal with it. Um, as she should have, because she seemed like the type of like feminist lawyer that is there for women. Um, and he acted so blindsided by it because he didn't understand why she would even get a lawyer. Like, dude, she's moving across country, like, and she worked as an actress for you, and you just got like a MacArthur grant, and like your play is going on Broadway that she helped you make. So like you are her income, not just by being the father and the head of the household, but like you are her employer. So yeah, it had to have gotten weird. And I think Charlie's lack of realization towards, obviously they weren't going to come back to New York. I think that stems from him just not believing that the situation was going on. He just thought he could avoid it. He would go away. He wouldn't have to do anything. And it would just take care of itself, or like she would take care of it. But that's not the case, as Nora stated with him on the phone. Like, you're supposed to respond in 30 days with a lawyer, and if you don't, that means that like don't you don't have any say in what we decide is going to happen because you're being so absentee. Therefore, she's going to get exactly what she wants, all this shit. And he looked at that as a fight. He couldn't believe this was happening to him. And that's so frustrating because that's not how it works. So divorce is messy and it costs money no matter what. I know that when my parents went through a divorce, the cost from the retainer, yeah, I'm pretty sure they mentioned that number in this movie. And he seemed like he could afford it because he was going back and forth from New York to California. And she was not going to do that. She started thriving in LA. She felt back to herself. She had to, all this time away from home, I guess, made her feel like she could get back to her roots. They were lucky to have her, is what they were telling her. We're lucky to have you. They listened to her voice when she was in this pilot saying you have to learn how to hold a baby, and they gave her a chance to like not just be in the writer's room, but she got to direct and she got an award for it. She really fucking thrived once she was out of, I don't want to say his control, because it wasn't that he was controlling or abusive. He was just inherently not apparently aware. I don't know if that makes sense. That probably doesn't make sense. But and I don't want to keep shitting on Charlie just because like he's the man in this. And but it was really shitty when he went back home to all of their friends, which are his friends now. He won them in the divorce because she's not going back. He got to vent about how she took the couch that wasn't even hers to begin with, or something like that. And it was sad. He threw himself a little pity party talking to his friends, but that just upset me because those are her friends too, or they were. I don't know. And guess he's seeing that stage manager, even though he acted like it was nothing, or that whatever, that girl. No, I think they broke up. He wasn't going to keep seeing that girl, but then he was like talking to the stage manager, I don't know. He tried. He really did. And he tried a lot harder than most dads do, fathers do, when they go through a divorce, to be there for Charlie and be supportive and be respectful towards her, Nicole, until he Like he said later on, he needed his own asshole in there in the courtroom defending him, because it just seemed so unfair how much he felt like he was a bad guy in this. When he finally gets his turn to talk to the lawyer, when they had the sidebar after their little meeting between the two lawyers, he was like, I feel like I'm a criminal. I'd done something wrong. And he was like, no, you didn't. You're just a man going through a divorce. Um, and then he, as he's laying on more of his frustrations of the situation, what really got to me was when he said, I shouldn't have let her come to LA. I shouldn't have let her take this pilot. I'm just thinking, let her? And I think that's how he meant it. Of course, it's not like in a physically abusive way, but just, I shouldn't have let her come to LA. Clearly, by the end of it, when they had their SmackDown drag out, there was a lot of shit that needed to get said that was never said. Nicole just didn't use her voice before to tell him what was going on. I think, like he said, they stopped sleeping together for a year. He was on the couch for a while. And, he started sleeping on the couch for like months before he eventually like slept with the stage manager, which is shitty because that's somebody they both work with. Like, you could have slept with a random stranger instead, and she knew he had stepped out somehow. She'd given that sign, and it got muddled, and she walked away and didn't, I don't think, explained it very well to him until they had their SmackDown drag out. And he ultimately says, I wish you were dead. I wish pain on you. I wish that way I could take care of Henry all by myself and he wouldn't choose you over me, or whatever the fuck he said. And it was shocking. And then he just bawled because he knew what he said. He was like, I'm sorry. And he just hugged her, because that was really it. Whether or not he meant that or it was just a crime of passion, which it probably obviously was. They both knew that it finally came out and that was going to be it, I think. And then, her lawyer got her 55-45, and did not go after that McCarthy grant, but still got some money, enough money from him. And he chose to move to California. And I think I was tearing up throughout it, but once he chose to go to California, like pick up a job there. He got offered a job at UCLA and he took it. Yeah, that got to me. Because that's like, okay, you are going to be here for your child. I wish I could have had that with my father. There's a lot of, I think, kids out there who wish they could have had that with both their parents fighting so hard that they don't have to go through that commute. I had a friend at one point in my life who would talk about, she has a lot of memories of her parents having to commute from Houston to Austin and meet halfway, in like Bastrop or something. Not Bastrop, it's not halfway, but they had to meet halfway. This is a 3-hour trip in between, to and from, and it killed her knowing that they just wouldn't like live in the same city. And I dated somebody once who didn't want to leave our hometown because the commute back and forth to try to see the custody of his kid, he knew he wouldn't see him all the time. It would cost too much. So the fact that he finally gave in and got to California, even though it was too late for his marriage, but he was there in time for his, the right time to keep on with his kid, keep going with his kid, even though, they were setting this trend throughout the movie that, his kid didn't really want to hang out with him. He chose mom and whatever mom's idea for costumes and her family. And um, he was really shutting him out, his father, um, and not trying so hard to be there with him, even though his father was trying to be there with him. And he felt like that was his family. He looks at the pictures and sees that there's pictures of him with this grandchild at Gma's house. And then divorce is settled and the pictures have changed and there's none of him, just her and her child, the grandchild. Um, so I think at the end, it wasn't necessarily a win at all, because even though he got there, I mean, he still gave up his life just to be there with that kid. Um, that's pretty fucking amazing. That's a good dad move right there. Um, I don't think it matters that if either of these actors had been married before, because they're playing divorce. They're playing how they're getting divorced. That's all I'm going to really say on that one. And I think the thing that really hit me the hardest on this one was when they were practicing how Nicole was to come off as a perfect parent. She's too honest, too honest about who she is. And she's probably being honest like that because she didn't want the mediator, whoever they're going to talk to, find out from Charlie later that, yeah, she did coke at a party once, or whatever. She smoked pot like a couple times. But Nora stopped her and she was like, you can't do that. You know, it's okay that he is absentee. Like, in society, you have to be a perfect mother. You have to. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And she has this beautiful line, or like a monologue, where she talks about, God and Mary, and how, God, as the man, didn't he impregnated her? He was not there for the birth. A different man was there for the birth, and a different man raised his child. And then in the end, she's the one who carried his body and held his dead body. And where was God? He didn't show up. Like, physically, that man, the manifestation didn't show up. And, this is pretty, I guess, abstract to think about it like that. But God didn't show up. He didn't physically show up whenever Mary was always physically there. And God still got all the praise. For the birth of Jesus, the life of Jesus, the death and the resurrection of Jesus. God got all of the, he got all the praise. And Mary didn't really get any praise for that. Just to be the childbearer, I guess, because she wasn't perfect. The Academy nominated this one for Best Picture, Best Actor, Best Actress, Best Supporting Actress. Go Laura Dern. This is two movies that she did this year that were spectacular. And she did Big Little Lies earlier this year. Oh my God, this girl was on fire. And I think original score, which is okay. I mean, good. It was good music. Randy Newman deserved that one. Interesting. So, and I think adapted screenplay, or original screenplay, or whatever. So we're gonna see how this one shakes out in the award season. And I'm really impressed with how it went down. I know it was written, directed by a man. You could see that, but I didn't dislike it at all. I think if it was written by a woman, we would have had way too many Nora scenes, I think. And a little bit too much about her winning out in the end, probably. An empowerment thing, maybe just a little bit more than what was already here. So I think I'll give Marriage Story I'll give that one a 7.5, 8. Let's give it a solid 8. Yeah. Because I would have given I gave yeah, let's give it a solid 8. Um, yeah, thanks for talking with me. Like I said, I don't have a lot written down here, but let's figure out what the next movie's gonna be, okay? Peace to the planet. Thanks for being with me.